Hello everyone, welcome back. My name is Avalon and we are going through a Legend of Zelda randomizer where we got very lost and very stuck. I actually think I know what to do next, but we'll see how that goes. And whilst playing this randomizer, we've been talking a little bit about Metroidvanias, although to be fair, the last two installments have been very focused on this particular game. So I've decided I'm not going to talk about this game for this whole episode, apart from what's going on. So, firstly, what is going on? I've had a bit of a think in the break since last time as to what I have and haven't done. As without the hookshot, I'm really struggling to actually know what to do next. And it's kind of causing problems. So I thought maybe, I could go and get some golden Skulltulas, but then I thought, actually, a lot of them, without the hookshot, I still can't get. And I don't know how many I can get without the hookshot. So I'm going to go and I'm going to try and beat the Gerudo shooting thing 1500 points. It's literally the only thing that I can think of that I haven't done. And when it comes back fruitless, I'm sure that there'll be a million and one other things that everyone else can see that I haven't done, but I will have to potentially go and actually look at going back through all of my footage and trying to work out what I haven't done. I really regret not generating a spoiler log at this point because I am really stuck. And this is, this is one of those things that we do talk about, or did talk about, sorry, earlier on about spoiler logs and about how, they are actually pretty beneficial, especially to newer people, but I try to avoid them because of the temptation of when you get stuck like this. Oh my god, opponent, walk along the bloody wood. When you get stuck like this, the temptation is there to just go and look instead of try and think about what you have and haven't done. But at this point, I'm clutching at straws. I'm talking mini-game bonus prizes at this point. So we'll see. But yeah, so while I'm talking about that, I'll talk about last episode I was talking about dungeons and the themes and stuff behind dungeons and how that all works and comes together. And actually, before I go and waste my time doing this, there we go. Yeah, I was talking about how dungeon thematics fit into things and stuff, and I feel like I might have given the wrong impression about what I actually think about how important the themes of dungeons are in the grand scheme of things. I talked last episode about the lead up to dungeons, for example, not being particularly pleased with the lead up to the Spirit Temple or the Forest Temple, despite me thinking that both of them are pretty cool. But they just didn't really fit in my feelings anyway with how the game should have fit them in. Which is, I can't do this without the hookshot. For goodness sake, I need the hookshot so badly. Okay, well, that's reduced me even more. Now I just need this hookshot so badly. Jump up here. Cool. And I do think that dungeons can have their own theming in comparison to the world around them, and a great example of that would be Darksiders, where for those of you who haven't played Darksiders, you're one of the four horsemen of war, of the apocalypse. You are war, and there's a game to play there around it and stuff, and time doesn't change in the Gerudo Fortress, so we've been over this already, Avalon. We had this conversation last episode. So foolish sometimes. Cool. So yeah, Darksiders, and basically the forces of heaven and hell invade the earth, and they're going to have their big apocalyptic battle thing, but then the demons get the upper hand, because of course demons are bad, although angels are bad in that game as well, so, you know, it's quite a cool little, like, storyline to it. But there's 4 major demons called the Chosen that are dotted around, and the reason this is, you know, relevant is because the dungeon themes just make no sense in the idea of the world. The only reason they have any opportunity to make sense is because of I've just noticed the music's not playing. That's why it feels weird. Super. The only reason they make any sense at all is because of the apocalyptic situation of the world. And, you know, like, there's nothing wrong with that, so to speak. You know, the world is in an apocalyptic state in that game, and, you know, apocalypses are a big part of video game design. You know, it's just one of those things. There we go, now we're doing better. 5 arrows. Need to get... Oh, man. Oh, man. I was so close. Oh, that's frustrating. But yeah, so the first one you go to is an abandoned cathedral that's been being controlled by the Bat Queen. Which, you know... Oh my god, this is terrible, I'm not going to get it this time. Which, yeah, it makes very little sense, thematically speaking. Well, I actually can't get it this time now. But once you get into there, it actually does work out okay. Like, the generic enemies are the same throughout the whole of the game, which is a real loss, to be honest, to the extent where even, like, the bats specific to the Bat Cathedral are also generic. It's going to be close, you need to get 100 per arrow. Okay. Oh, if these are both perfect. Oh, 1400. Yes, even the bats end up being quite average, and like the way you get to the cathedral makes no sense in terms of the world, apart from the fact, again, it's an apocalyptic world, and Darksiders does really lean on that, maybe a little bit too much. And like, I don't blame it for it, you know, if you've got an apocalyptic world setting, why would you not take advantage of what an apocalyptic world can be? But it does definitely take advantage of that fact. But it doesn't stop the dungeon itself being thematically awesome, because the game leans into its weaknesses. Ah, I'm not going to do this, am I? I am just not having a good time with this. I'm going to have to cheat. Shh. So... yeah, once you get into the dungeon, it's this big cathedral, and you have to make your way around. It has courtyards, much like cathedrals would do in real life, and that's cool. You know, you can't argue with that being cool at all. You'd be wrong to argue that it's not cool. But yeah, it has open courtyards, it has basement areas, kind of everything that you would anticipate to be in a cathedral, I guess. So yeah, it's like that, and then the next section you go to in that game is sewers, and it's a bit weird getting there, to be honest with you. But once you get there, again, it makes perfect sense in line with the fact you're in sewers. There's underwater bits, overwater bits, there's claustrophobic bits. There it is. There we go. Man, that was difficult. And to think I gave up on that earlier. Oh, that opens a lot. That opens an awful lot. What kiddie items have I got? Bombs and the slingshot. I could go to the Spirit Temple, but I haven't got the boomerang. I'd go and do... Yeah, let's go and be a kid, because there's so much I know to do as a kid. Okay. That's awesome. What was I saying? That was it. Yeah, so... And then the next one you go to is like an abandoned city, like, I guess. It's like a couple of skyscrapers. And I might be in the wrong order here, but I'm pretty sure that comes before. What are you doing? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that it comes before the Stygian. I'm not... I can't remember the exact order in my head. It's been a while since I played it, but yeah, you go to like an apartment complex, skyscraper, whatever you want to call it, and there's a couple of them around, and it's infested by spiders. So inside, everything's covered in webs, and the enemies are spider-based, and you know, even though that it doesn't make sense in the logical sense of it's there, but it makes sense in the in the theme. Makes sense for it to be run by spiders. So, for example, Great Deku Tree here had spider webs and stuff. That has spider webs there. There's like a weird barnacle crab thing that lives in the sewers. It makes sense for it to live in the sewers. Whereas here, for example, Morpher, the Morpheus blob, or the jellyfish, the great barnacle, inside Lord Jabba Jabba don't make so much sense. And that's just how it is for some of them, you know. But now that I've done this, I kind of want to go and do the horse race. Let's go and do the horse race. Before we become a kid. Yeah, and then the final one is a desert, and there's like a big sandwormy thing, I guess, which is pretty cool. But again, like, the dungeon doesn't try to be anything it's not. Oh, we've already done this bit, have I? Okay. Yeah, the dungeon doesn't try to be anything it isn't by, like, being weird or anything. Okay, I've not done this in a very long time. Yeah, so the desert thing, it's not like some weird... Oh, come on, man. It doesn't make sense, does it? It's not like some weird temple in the middle of a desert. It's like a little place that the people who live there have made. I really don't understand why we're moving this fence. So I've been disqualified, I think, because I didn't jump that wall. Yeah. Cool. We'll give it another try, see what happens. Yeah, so like, you know, it's nice that they've thought, rather than trying to shove temples into places that don't make sense, they've instead made like a, it's kind of like a Mad Max Bandit place, would probably be the best way to describe it. So yeah, it's quite cool. It's quite unique. So yeah, and like, even then the final boss, again, it makes absolutely no sense how you get, well, it's not the final boss, one of the final bosses. Makes no sense how you get there. A demon teleports you there. So, you know, in line with the actual world building, thematically, it doesn't make sense. But once you get there, it works in itself. It's like a localized theme. And this is something that I think that The Legend of Zelda kind of lacks in a lot of places, is that, like, localized theming. Oh, come on. Why did I pause? What is that? How is that going to help? Have some good time there as well. I don't understand opponents sometimes. Let's go again. Yeah, so, you know, last episode I talked a lot about the build-up towards dungeons and stuff, and how it didn't really work for some of the dungeons in this game, and I still stand by that. It doesn't work for some of the dungeons in this game, but my point is, it doesn't always have to work, you know? It's not the be-all and end-all. I don't want it to come across like I think it is. So that's why I thought I'd go on a little bit about Darksiders there. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make this. It's going to be close, that's for sure. I need to make sure I keep the carrot for this last. There we go. Come in tight. Ooh. Close, but no cigar. Try again. Normally I wouldn't bother with these, but after, you know, how ridiculous the Song of Time was, I'm gonna absolutely go and find out if I can get any easy, like, key items. Jump over that. And another game that like deals with thematics of dungeons quite well is Hollow Knight, because it doesn't have dungeons in the regular sense of the word. You know, like, you don't go to a place and unlock a big creepy door and go to a special unique area and stuff. In Hollow Knight, it's much more sort of like, I guess, based around the locations. Oh, come on. Just finish the piece. How frustrating. Yeah, so like Hollow Knight, for example, take for example the Watcher's Lair. It's in the big watchtower above the city, and yes, there's a boss, and like it's a unique area that you'd only ever go to if you were looking for that progression point. But it's not in itself like illogical, I guess is the word I'm looking for. Come on. No. Frustrating. And I suppose in itself it isn't like a normal dungeon, because kind of the whole world is one big dungeon in Hollow Knight. It's not like separated in that sense, and I kind of like that. But you know, get my words out. Thematics in dungeons does matter, and you can see it as one of the biggest criticisms of Breath of the Wild when it comes to the dungeons and the thematics in them, or lack thereof. And it's a very valid criticism as well, you know. I'm not going to try and defend the game on this point at all, because, well, I'm not a big fan of Breath of the Wild. And, you know, maybe that's something that we can, you know, I will dedicate a whole episode to at some point. But no, I think Breath of the Wild is a very mediocre game. And, oh, come on, Epona, just jump over the blooming fences. I still don't even know if this actually gives you anything at the end of it, like whether it's rupees or what. Because if it's just rupees, then it doesn't actually matter what it would or would not have given you. Because it was still... well, I don't know. It must give you something, surely. Okay. But yeah, Breath of the Wild, like, it's no secret that once you get inside a shrine, a temple, whatever it may be, it's all the same inside. It all looks exactly the same as any other dungeon, which then, you know, irrelevant of how it fits into the overworld, makes it questionable. No, not gonna make it in time. I think speed-wise, that was actually pretty on it. Oh, Epona, why? Why? Christ almighty. You know, and like even the central puzzle in Breath of the Wild, for each of the different actual dungeons, the Divine Beasts, it's always the same as well, which in itself is just disappointing. You know, like, you find a new Divine Beast and you think it's going to be super cool to go and explore it and everything, and it's exactly the same thing. You go and find the center console, and then you walk around a little bit, and you activate the other consoles, and then you move part of the dungeon around, and that's it. You know, and like, don't get me wrong, some of them are really cool, like Van Naboris, the desert camel dungeon. You know, that has a really cool and unique mechanic to it. Am I gonna make it? There we go. Awesome. Yeah, where you like move the electricity around the dungeon. It's a really unique mechanic, and nothing else even comes close to that. So I have to deliver to your house, but you can't wait to see what? Delivered to my house? What is she on about? Have I just wasted a bunch of time for some ridiculous nothing? I literally have no idea what she's talking about at all. But yeah, so Breath of the Wild puzzle's not great. To be honest, I might go find out what this present that allegedly has been delivered to my house is, and then call it here. And then go into a bit of an episode on Breath of the Wild, maybe. We'll see. I want to go and see what this heavy thing is, though. I just don't know what it could be. Delivered to my house. Ooh, that's not a very nice present, is it, Malon? Super. So what is it? It's a cow! She gave me a cow! she gave me a literal cow. I can't... I literally got a cow. I wonder if you randomise the cow drops, if that plays into that or not. Oh well. I'll take my milk. I'll drink my milk. And away I will go. Thank you so much everyone for sticking with me, and I will catch you all next time, I guess. Have a wonderful day. A cow. A bloody cow.